Welcome back to the Apprentice One-to-One podcast. It is me, Mark, and I'm here hosting. And those of you who are watching will be able to see I have a guest with me today, a very famous guest, famous in the podcasting arena now. He's been on a few of the other shows and also soon to be on the BBC. So it's Mr. Jamie Fisher. How are you, Jamie?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you for that introduction. I'm going to try and behave myself on this one, though.
Yeah, that's it. Let's keep it PC. We'll save all the swearing for Sam's show. Give him the editing. Yeah, cheers for coming on to talk with me. I know in this series we're going to try and speak about 2391, dispel some of the myths, explain a little bit about what's involved in the course, and also how you go about entering into it. And your background is in the training sector. That's right, isn't it?
No, well, I've been training for a year. But I'm a 20-year spark, so I can come at it from both angles, hopefully. And I've done it. I've taught 2391 probably 10 times.
Okay.
So I know where people fall down. So that'll be interesting to talk about and stop people making the mistakes that everyone makes, to be honest.
Yes, I guess you must see a lot of that on some of your courses, people who've failed and gone through that and maybe not come out with the right outcomes. So hopefully we can help them preparing for it.
They've not failed. They've probably been sent to fail because they've not been prepped. So I don't think there's any failure, but they weren't ready, and that's the secret in it. I don't want to get all them, start giving all them unicorns are great and everyone's gonna be happy, because people do fail stuff, but a lot of the time on courses like 2391 they fail because they haven't prepared.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Get rid of that.
So if we start at the beginning and exactly what 2391 is. So for those who don't know, and again, there's a lot of apprentices following my content. This is the Apprentice One-to-One podcast. So it is the inspection and testing city and guilds. There is EAL equivalent, I believe, is the Jamie. Is that right?
I wouldn't know, mate.
Not a fan of EAL, I guess, but there is other equivalents.
I'm not a fan of anyone's training, but as a working sparker, when they're on in an interview or you go for a job, they want sitting guilds. And I'm sorry to all the other trainers, but that's just how it is at the minute. That's just how it is. So
it is. Any adverts you'll see will all be like 2391 electrician. So what actually is that? Is that like an assessment on your testing and inspecting? Is it going to teach you how to test and inspect? What's the actual test?
2391. I invite everyone who's watching to pause the video and Google it. Just put in 2391. Is it hard? And you'll see all sorts of horror stories about 2391. It is a course about inspection and testing, and it qualifies you to inspection and test. When you walk out that course after 5 days, you'll have no idea what you're doing. Still, you'll know how to test and you'll know the basic inspection. But if you got sent on a 10-story office block, you'd still crap your pants because you're not got any experience. It's just the base level. But it is so you can inspect and test existing work of any standard and other people's work. And that is not easy because you need to give an engineer an opinion, which we'll get into as we dive deeper into it. And that opinion is what it is. It's an opinion. So you need to, it's hard. Hopefully, I don't think you can do it justice in these few seconds, but it's inspection and test of other people's work and existing work. And we're going to dive into it. So watch all these series.
Yeah, exactly. So we are going to build this out just to introduce that right at the beginning. This is just one episode. It might end up being 5. We don't know. We're just going to see where it goes. Try and keep them short and concise so we're not boring you all to death for over an hour. We thought keep them 20 minutes, half an hour long. So that's the intention. And the 2391, I think you can take it in different elements still. I know it used to be like 2394 and 2395 for a period. I think you can still do the periodic separate to the initial verification if you want to. Is that right?
There's a lot of rich history to 2391. So if anyone asks me what 2391 I've got the original one, the hard one, where there's a written exam and a multiple choice exam. And it was hard. It was hard. They did something with it to make it easier. It got kicked back by the trade. So now you can do a 239152, which is the combination of both. And then there's another number, 2391 something, and another 2391 something, that it splits it up. I would advise you go for the 239152 because it's easy, more available. It's normally cheaper, but it requires you to do the prep. So that's where I'm at. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's what I would encourage as well. So in terms of going on to the 2391 then, Jamie, some of the prerequisites, if you like, what sort of experience do people need before they're going to enter into that course? Is this for someone in an apprenticeship to think about doing, for example, or is this more for an experienced electrician?
I did my 2391, the hard one, when I was a third year apprentice, and I went on it, and they sent all the apprentices that year because I asked to do it, and they sent all the sparks, and all the apprentices passed it, and all the sparks failed it. So take from that what you will, but it's not a course. It's not how to use a toaster. Yeah, you're not going to come on the course and learn how to use a toaster. It's a course about assessment, so you should come up with a lot of prerequisites. And my advice when I'm doing 2391 is do a 2392 first, because a 2392, which is just inspection and test of your own work, that's 3 days, and you'll get put under pressure in an exam. You'll get put under pressure in a realistic practical assessment, and it'll cost about 500 quid. Then go away for a couple of months and learn more stuff, because you'll have been put under that in that little mini version of 2391. And then when you go to 2391, you won't be so shocked and surprised. And if you have to resit the practical aspect of a 2391 and the exam, you're going to be in the hole for 500 quid anyway. So you may as well have pumped it into a 2392. The other option is, which I'll go into maybe because I don't want to drift too far off the question, is there's a lot of learning you can do at home. So yeah, I'll leave it at that one for now before I get too in deep about preparation that I think you should do.
Yeah, I mean, my view is I think when you're in an apprenticeship, for example, you kind of cover testing and inspection through the course of that, don't you? So you do your AM2 as well. There are some similarities in all of that.
Yeah.
I would kind of say get a bit of experience after you've qualified from your apprenticeship, and then think about doing the 2391 as you may be building towards being a qualified supervisor in your own right. Having said that, my apprentice, the last one who was qualified as a proper electrician, Matthew, he did the same as you, Jamie. He went off and did his 2391 while he was still studying. He hadn't finished. He was in his third year, and he smashed it and passed it. So it's different. It's different for everybody.
Set yourself as a child. It depends how much you give a toss on it. If you want to be a good spark, if you want to earn some wedge and be respected, get it done as soon as you can. But that I don't mean go on a course straight away and get it done. I mean, start reading about it. Start looking at that yellow book you've got in the background there. Start watching. I'll come on to the prep you should do in a minute, but there's videos and stuff. I'll give you a sheet to put on the show notes about what videos you should be watching. Take it as a challenge, because if you walk into my office and I'm working for a big firm and you're 29 years old and you ain't got a 2391, yeah, down here, yeah, that's where your CV's going. Yeah, straight in there. You might be the nicest bloke in the world, best sparking with tools, going, ninja, be able to put up tray work and conduit. If you ain't got a 2391, you're in your late 20s, your CV's going straight in that bin. And that's not official. That's what happens.
I mean, industry does look to it. We know it does. You'll see it on a lot of the adverts for people who are going to be working as electricians. They'll want to see evidence that you can inspect and test, and taking that assessment, if you like, that 5-day course. I did mine on an evening. I think it was over 10 weeks.
I did evenings, actually.
Way back when. I didn't do it on a combined because obviously working at the time. So I went off to local college, did it on a night. I think it was maybe 10, 12 weeks. I can't remember exactly. And I found that really good. It was a nice way to take it in a little bit at a time, like you said, rather than having it all kind of in your face over 5 days. You can go off and read a little bit into it yourself.
It's hard to find that course now. It's hard to find it. I tried to talk the place I was working last into doing it, but they didn't see a thing for it. But I think, personally, that is the best way to do it.
I think so.
Because 5 days in the classroom is a smashing. If you're, I'll start diving into more like about my experience of training. If you come in if you're right, when you come on a 2391, you want to be sat on your arse bored. That's what you should feel like. If you're sat on your arse bored, just go through the motion of 2391, you're in the right place. If you're there going, oh, I need to read that later, you're in the wrong game. You should stop and do some more. 2391 should just be a formality of assessment, exam, practical assessment. You shouldn't be there going, well, I need to brush up on how you do installation resistance testing. If you're thinking like that, you're in the wrong place. You've not prepped properly. And that, unfortunately, is your fault.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of different aspects to the 2391, and we'll break that down in some of the other podcasts, because like you've said, there's the testing and practical side of it. There's also where you look at pictures, I think, as well, isn't there, and come up with codes. I'm
not going to lie, the looking at the pictures is a disgrace to sitting guilds, to be honest. Yeah, but then I say that, but then in fairness, it's very hard to simulate faults on rigs, because you have a fault rig with 10 faults on. By the end of the day, it's got 50 faults on. So I know it's hard for them to do it, but I just think the pictures are a bit crap. Could be done a little bit better. But yeah, you're just looking at pictures doing that.
It is hard to standardise that and get it around a load of centres. So I guess that's the only way they can do it. We've got to be realistic.
It's not a bad way of doing it. I just think the pictures are bad. The pictures look like they've been taken on a spud, but you'll see that when you do a 2-3-9-1. It's something for you to look forward to.
So in terms of the kind of stuff you might need to take the 2-3-9-1, I've got this book behind me here, which is Guidance Note 3, as Jamie pointed out. There are some other resources as well that you're probably going to need. Would you say it's fair to say, Jamie, a copy of the regs, maybe an on-site guide?
If you're going to 2-3-9-1, you should have done your 18th edition, because you don't want to be learning things about terminology in your way around the book.
That's this one?
Yeah, that one. So do your 18th edition first, is my advice. Guidance Note 3, the on-site guide, and the regs book in the right colour, if this is going out after March.
God, yeah.
What time it is now. You need to know those inside out. I'll say you need to know those books inside out anyway, not just for 2-3-9-1. You shouldn't. If you do a regs course, you'll learn how to reference and use a book properly, and you should be familiar with those 3 books. If you're not, you've wasted your time, is my advice.
I think so. I mean, the Guidance Note 3, it's not a big book, is it? It's not a great long read. There's lots of diagrams in there as well that can kind of jog your memory. I know if I was going to sit a 2-3-9-1, now we're out testing all the time, I'd be more than happy with that. But some of the terminology and things that the book might actually want you to say and be doing might be different to the way I've been doing it the last 10 years. So it's always worth a brush up. You know, if you're taking that course, read the book that underpins it at the end of the day. That
book is in my testing box. So downstairs in my garage is a box of my testing gear, all the favourites. There's a copy of that book in it. And I've been doing this 20 years and I've been teaching it for a year, and I still go in that book. So take from that what you will. It's not because I'm thick, although I am. It's because that's a reference book. You don't need to. I didn't say no one's got to memorize anything. You just need to know where to get in the book, and that doesn't matter whether you're on day 1 after your 2-3-9-1 or if you're on year 20. That book is there to be referenced, because I can't remember what the fault loopy peanuts maximum tabulated value of a BSCN, I don't know, is. So, and if you do, you waste your time. So it will all change in March.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We're saying this now. We're recording in February, as Jamie's rightly pointed out. The regs are changing at the end of March. And I think there is actually a reasonable change to insulation resistance testing based on some of the content I've seen other lecturers sharing. That's going to actually change a little bit with EICRs. So there may be a tweak in the way 2-3-9-1's taught through the course of this series as well. So make sure you are studying to the current version of the regs, related to the point of time you're doing your training, and it does.
That's a life rule anyway, isn't it? Like, whatever you're doing, make sure you use the current regs. I mean, I've got them downstairs. I've got boxes of regs books. I've got like 12 of them.
Yeah.
So you're always moving forward. So get used to referencing. That's what a lot of testing is. A lot of testing. Who is it? Someone hates it, quite rightly so. It's called inspection and test.
Yeah.
Because inspection is the biggest part. Unfortunately, on the course, you focus a lot more on testing. But if you know you're testing, you're laughing. Is my tip for 2-3-9-1.
Yeah, so I guess the 2-3-9-1 is sort of a verification then of your knowledge of inspection and testing. And
that is the word, verification. I like that one. That's what we're after. Yeah,
so it's not like really
bringing it all together.
Exactly, it's not really a training course where you can walk in fresh out your apprenticeship maybe and expect to be taught how to inspect and test if you haven't had that in your early training. It's not that. It's
people
looking at your ability. Yeah,
people do that and look at me like, you're going to teach this in 5 days. And again, I'll reiterate this: I'm not going to teach like 5 days. Any training provider who says they can teach it in 5 days is lying. Any training provider who says they can got 100% pass rate is lying. Yeah, vet your training provider. Speak to people that have been there before. Have a look at their online reviews, which are not very reliable, but always better to speak to one's been there before. But beware anyone offering passes. We've got 100%. We've got this, because no one's getting 100% pass rate in 2-3-9-1. No one, even me, and I'm a genius. Yeah, vet them is my. If we're going to start giving the advice out in like a sequential format, first thing is you're not in a rush. You're not in a rush to do this. Like, first of all, look around all training providers. Maybe consider going a little bit further afield. Ring them up. What are they like on the phone to you? Are they just sales, or are they trying to find out about you? Where I was working last, I insisted I spoke to everyone coming on 2-3-9-1 to see where they're at. I think that shows that I'm interested in getting the levels right on my course. So if they just sales, hang on a minute, see how they speak to you. Are they speaking to you like a sparker? Are they asking you questions about your training and where you're at and offering you advice outside of this video?
Yeah, that's great. And that's such a good point, actually, to be able to find and understand what a good training provider is. because you've absolutely nailed that. There is a lot of marketing around 2391 from training companies who just want your money. That is the hard reality of it.
I did a podcast once on the tools. It's on my YouTube channel where I referred to some of the big training providers as a sausage factory. And I got so much hate mail for that. But I'm afraid some training providers are sausage factories, but there's loads of good trainers out there as well. I never tell anyone where I'm working. I never make any recommendations, but because that should be something you learn to do yourself. But if you don't get the warm and fuzzies off them on the phone, don't train with them.
Yeah, no, it's great advice. And you are right. You've got to go on that journey yourself and figure it out. And TESP have got their campaigns running as well, where you can go off and look at their advice on how to spot decent training companies.
You can see people have been ripped off on that. So
yeah,
not every training company, it's not like school. Yeah, they can pick on you. Just be careful. I'm not saying anyone I've worked for is good or bad. I've worked for some good trainers. I don't tell people who they are. They'll make recommendations because training is a fluid environment. People come and go. So just look around. That's the first thing. I think that nips in the bud where you should train and how you should do it. So I think we've got somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's an investment in yourself at the end of the day, isn't it? You're spending quite a lot of money on it. You might as well get the most out of that you can, the best value. So make sure you go into a good centre, that you are prepared in the right way, that you've got the books you're going to need, that you're taking in content that's available on YouTube. As Jamie's referenced, there's loads of content you can go off and look at on podcast and on YouTube, historical over years now. So there's all sorts out there. So it's on you to prepare in the best way. Hit your employer up as well.
Oh, sorry. I'll just interject with YouTube. So on my course, I actually recommend the John Ward videos. If you Google John Ward playlist testing, it cannot be beat. It cannot be beat. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, it cannot be beat. So I would advise that you watch those testing videos. You get yourself a cup of tea. You get your guidance note 3. You get your on-site guide, and you watch those videos. And you reference them against the written information in the on-site guide.
I mean, John's an absolute behemoth, isn't he? It's brilliant.
And you do that over and over and over again with your books and your tester in front of you. You maybe do the tests. And before you even think about going on a course, you need to know the test inside out. You need to know exactly what the procedure is for each test, because when you get in that exam and you flap and you lose where you are, you'll be able to pick up where you are, but you don't want to be thinking about doing the test. It should just become something that comes naturally. So I'll pass on the document I give out to my students. That's got the John Ward testing playlist on, which should be used, and I stress this, in conjunction with the written examples in both the on-site guide and guidance note 3, because you've got one of them's more formally written and one of them's more friendly written. So it helps to know both. And then also, although it's based on the yellow book, whichever edition that was, John Ward's got 3 videos where he goes down each test form, the EICR, the EIC, and the minor works. And he just explains what each box is and just goes over that. And I would watch those to death, because it's your time. Your own time is free. And you can watch them over and over again until you understand them. And you can go to work next day and maybe ask who you're working with or try and do a test. Once you have nailed the tests, you are halfway there. I cannot stress that enough. If you know exactly what the test is, where you are doing it, at what stage that test you're doing it, and how the end game comes out, you are halfway to passing the 2391 and being a spark.
Yeah. I mean, the John Ward stuff is incredible. As you said, he's put such a lot of content out there around that. Definitely go and check that off. And we'll pop it in the description.
That playlist, again, cannot be beat. It's absolutely, don't worry about watching any of these other idiots like that David Savory, whatever his name is, The John Ward playlist for testing, if you're doing a 2391, cannot be beat. That is my personal seal of approval. If you think I'm wrong, tell me, and I will tell you how wrong you are.
For those that don't know, Jamie and David are actually father and son, so there's no conflict there. There's just a bit of banter between them. And Mr.
If you are a Sparky and you want to do some advanced testing, David Savory's videos are glitters rolled in turd.
So there is the content out there that you can go and check online. You can prepare yourself. Also speak with your employer as well. So sometimes you're maybe not getting the experience of testing you want. You can fall into kind of a role within a business where you're maybe just doing the containment, pulling in the cabling or dressing DBs, and you're not getting the experience you want on the job. You can ask for that. So make sure you reach out to your employer and ask that question. Don't be put off just because you think you're not capable of doing it or they don't see you as in that role. A lot of them want to help you.
I just go and hang around people. If I see something this is a general electrical rule, general life rule. If I see someone doing something I think's interesting, and it looks like they might be more skilled than me, I go and talk to them. What are you doing? Can I help you? Can I give you a hand? Because you'll learn something.
Yeah.
So if you see me tester about, do you want to hand with your stuff, mate? Do you want me to run around doing that for you? Oh, what forms you using? What software you using? What tricks you using for testing? Get on them, give them an hand, because they'll be more than happy to have an hand off you, and you'll soon pick it up. And that's obviously, as we both know, that's the best way to learn it on the job training.
Yeah, is you can't beat that next to somebody who's already doing it. So if you've
as
got
long as they're not shit, of course.
Yeah. So if somebody is wearing an EGTE Monday Club podcast off and they're talking in a Southern Kent accent and they're called Sam, don't pay any attention to him.
No matter how many podcasts we do, we will not. One thing I can't teach people: you've got to be a God to judge character. Yeah, so that's a lesson in life you need to learn. But yeah, if you think someone's good, or if people say they're good, you want to latch onto them and get some experience off them. That's testing everything.
Yeah, no, it's a good advice. So I think that's kind of like built up what's involved in preparing for the AM2 and 2391. So the 2391. And, you know, what to look for in the training provider, kind of what to expect through the course. We're going to build this out further. We're going to talk about coding, probably. That's a big part of
that'll take 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that puts a lot of people off getting involved because they'll see some of the, you know, they have some right slagging matches on social media to do with code. And it's how you actually set that against what's needed in the 2391, because whatever we think of certain codes, there are certain requirements within that in that process, that assessment that you're going to need to be able to understand and code towards, because you want to be doing it in a way you're going to pass, not in the way that someone out on site might think you should be applying codes.
I will digress. I'm not going to give anything away. I'm not one of these people. I'm not training. I don't train to pass. I train people to be real Sparkies. When it comes to the code on the 2391, it's not a massive part of the assessment, really. It's just like, it's just you've got to justify it. There's no hard and fast. So like people get, but is it a C2? Is it a C3? You're the decision maker. You're saying that is this. You can be wrong compared to other people. But if you say, well, I think it's this because of that, and you justify it, I'd be hard pushed to mark you down for it, because at the end of the day, I appreciate you're going to go on site and that's going to be your name on it. But don't get bogged down in those C2s and C3s like people on the internet. That's just Sparkies being Sparkies on Twitter. Don't let that worry you regarding 2391 is my advice.
Sound stuff. So we'll pick up a bit of that as well. We're going to build this out. We're going to bring some other people in as well. Neil's agreed to come on. I'm going to see if we can get John Bagley on as well. There might be some other people who pop up. We'll try and make it as interesting and relevant as we can in a way that's going to help you as electricians going on this journey of doing 2391, because it is a big deal. Loads of people take that course, and the idea is that this is to help. We're not going to teach or instruct you. It's just going to guide you towards other content that's already out there. Because as Jamie said, people have made some incredible stuff already. We're not trying to replace or replicate that. It's just to offer a bit of insight in the way to approach doing your 2391 and getting a successful outcome. If you want to get your foot in the door at a firm, this is 2391 is the number one way to do it. So I think having got there, I think we've just about covered our 20-minute slot. So we'll kind of draw that to a close now. I'm going to be releasing this on audio and on video. If you have got any questions, drop them in the comments below as always. If you have any insight yourself, if you're in the lecturing space, get involved. If you want to come on and discuss it with me and Jamie, the door is always open. Everybody is welcome. Thanks for coming on. And this is Jamie's idea, by the way. He wants to do this. He's the producer, the person directing it. So if you want to see and talk about anything, hit him up on social media. I'm going to drop his details in all the descriptions as well. So if there's topics you want covered around 2391, let us know. These will probably drop over a couple of months. If you don't tell us, we won't do it. And also, obviously, the other thing is, you don't know, do you? No, a lot of people don't know what's going on for the 2391. They don't know what to expect. So hopefully we'll cover that as well. So people are ready. Get there ready. Yeah, banging point. Is there anything else you want to add before we end it, mate? Find a good trainer by personal recommendation. What else do we do? Prep yourself, and that's it. Is that where we're at? I think that's where we're up to. Get yourself your head in your book. Cling to people who are good and learn off them. Don't even worry about booking it. Don't worry, just get the books, find a good trainer, learn yourself the testing inside out, and cling to people that are doing it and watch that experience, because that will always help you. I think that's where we're at. That's where we'll kill it off there. Thank you all for watching and bearing with us. We will catch you on the next one. See you later, guys. Cheers.